Now, I've got a question for you. Does anybody in the audience know what Amazon does here in Berlin? Show me your hands. Anybody knows what Amazon does here in Berlin? Okay, one. That's fantastic. So for the rest of you, I can guarantee you that you will hear now something really exciting because our next speaker is here to show you what Amazon Web Services is doing here in the heart of Europe. There's a local massive investment, and AWS is injecting 15 billion euros into Germany by 2026, supporting jobs, innovation, and cloud infrastructure, all tuned for AI scalability. And that's not all. We've got now here the managing director of Amazon Development Center in Germany, Berlin, where they're creating a lot of innovation for AI of Amazon and AI tools that you all know and love. So let's give him a warm welcome. Here's Jonathan Weiss. Welcome to the stage.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, everybody. Welcome. It's great to be here. As mentioned, my name is Jonathan. I lead our development center in Berlin. And not a lot of people know that we actually have a fairly big population here that is doing cutting-edge research and development for Amazon. We've been here for over 10 years. I personally have been with Amazon for over 13, and I want to talk to you a little bit about what are we doing here specifically in Berlin, and then what are we doing in terms of AI, in terms of Gen AI. How do we look at the market, talk about some use cases, how people are using it in real life to be a lot more efficient, save a lot of money, and be able to cater to a bunch of use cases that you couldn't do before. If we talk first about Berlin, we've been actually in the German market for a long time. And in Berlin, we're doing a lot, from customer service to our logistics and ops. But in particular, we have a development center right in the heart of Berlin, not too far from here, where we have over 2,500 people working on many different projects for Amazon, ranging from Alexa to our retail stores business, search, Fire TV, Amazon Web Services, so our cloud computing business, and most importantly, AI, right? So a lot of our projects and products that we offer worldwide to our global audience, ranging from Amazon Q, that we will talk about in a moment, to our machine translation services, computer vision, Alexa natural language understanding, search in Alexa. A lot of those features, capabilities are being developed right here in the heart of Europe, in the heart of Germany. Now, what are we doing with AI? How do we think about it, and how can customers use it, right? I talk a lot to customers that want to learn, how can I use that to accelerate my business? Is it all hype, or is there actually something to it? So let's go through a little bit through our mental model, how we look at AI, think of AI, and I want to highlight where some of that is coming here right out of Germany. So to many of you, right, like AI might seem a little bit magical, and I love this quote very much. You probably have seen it in the past that says, any sufficiently advanced technology looks like magic to us, right? If you would go back to the Middle Ages or the Stone Ages and you would show people what is possible today, they wouldn't believe you. And AI today sometimes looks a little bit like that, but at the end it's just boring math, as we heard earlier, right? And computer science, but it enables a few very incredible use cases. At AWS, we're thinking in terms of AI of our, what we call the generative AI stack, right? So at the very bottom, we have a bunch of services and offerings that help you build and run your own machine learning models, right? We have globally distributed data centers where you can rent servers, you can rent GPUs, and you can train your own models, you can run inference and so forth, right? It's a fairly advanced use cases, but like a lot of the big model providers are using it to train their own models and to rent thousands of GPUs, do the training runs for days or weeks or months, and then have updated models versions. Probably a use case that is not too useful for the majority of customers, that because you need very specialized knowledge in machine learning and very advanced model building capabilities. But we offer these services to those specialists that want to do this, right? The next layer is useful for everybody who wants to integrate machine learning directly into their applications. So we have Bedrock and SageMaker. Those are our two standout services in this area where you can essentially take our model hosting offerings, consume state-of-the-art models from Anthropic, from Meta, right, like our own models or open source models, and we handle all the scaling, the guardrails, the data storage, and so forth for you so that you don't have to do this. And then at the top of the layer, you have the GenAI application stack. So this is the idea of you just take an existing application without a lot of customization. You can just run it for yourself. This is where Amazon Q comes into play, where you can do BI, you can use it in software development and so forth. And I want to highlight that area because a lot of that development is happening here. And also maybe it's the easiest way to show what AI can already do for you, because when you build applications, you're handling source code, right? Source code is text. Large language models happen to be working very well with big bodies of text, right? So software engineering, programming seems to be like one of those sweet spots where large language models boost productivity very, very much. There are many other use cases, but I think this is the one that we see is the one where it's the easiest to show productivity gains and boost your developers. So what is Amazon Q Developer? Amazon Q Developer is our offering that accelerates your whole software development lifecycle, right? That helps you plan, design, implement, test, and release your app. Sounds very fancy. At the end of the day, right? Like you can run it in your favorite IDE. You can directly interact with the GenAI assistant, right? Like you can chat with it. I just download the plugin from my favorite IDE, and I can ask it questions. How do I do this? How would I do that? And it generates you code snippets that you can directly integrate into your program, right? Like it could run the test for you. It can tell you where you have security issues potentially in your code, and so forth. So very cool, very popular. We use it a lot internally too, right? Lots of customers are using something like that to just accelerate software development, right? Like to help you program faster, if you like, right? With better quality. The other way you can run it is also you can have it autocomplete when you're typing, right? So in this case, I'm describing in a code comment what I want to do, and then it autocompletes the functions for me. So as you can see, we're working with text here, and that's what large language models are very, very good at doing. And then we're adding a lot of logic on top to handle all the special cases around, does the test actually work? Is it the code compiling? Is it safe code? And so forth. So that's maybe like one interesting use case of how you can use GenAI today if you're programming, right? Or another example is if you're using the Amazon Web Services console, our web interface, we have an integration there too, where you can ask queries and questions about your applications, about the problems you might encounter, and so forth. So very specialized technical problem space maybe, but it allows us to incredibly accelerate how people are building applications, running applications, troubleshooting applications, and so forth, right? And turns out a lot of developers spend a lot of time particularly in the troubleshooting and operating part, where machine learning can help them a lot to solve these problems. The other use cases that help you with that, right? Like if you look at planning, design, implementation, I can spend a lot more time showing you demos there, right? Like so for every part of these lifecycle phases, you could use something like Amazon Q to help you do that. Now, how does it translate now to real-world productivity gains, wins, right? Like, what does it mean if my developers are able to have their code auto-completed? I have an example here from BT, from British Telecom, from the UK, where they adopted a few months ago Amazon Q Developer into their workflow, and they had Amazon Q generate over 100,000 lines for this particular project of source code lines of code that developers didn't have to write, right? Like where they reported productivity gains anywhere from like 13 to 30%, right? So that means the time it takes you to complete a project is significantly shortened, right? Or you can just develop a lot more features in the same amount of time. To give you maybe an even more specific number of the efficiency gains and productivity improvements you can see from this, let me show you a use case how we use this internally. So Amazon is a company that has been existing for a while, right? Like we're now 30 years old. We have a lot of software projects that existed for a long time, and those projects need to be maintained. All of you know it yourself. If you're running any form of computers, right? Like you need to update them regularly, you need to install security patches, you need to run the software in the latest version, and so forth. And this is very tedious. It takes a lot of time. And if you have ever worked with any software team, it's not a task that people are particularly excited about, right? Like, go take this project and make sure all the dependencies and all the libraries are updated to the newest version. At Amazon, a few months ago, we took a small team of I think 3 or 4 people, and we had them build an automation for that using these machine learning technologies from Amazon Q. And they were able to upgrade 10,000 of our projects, right, within a few weeks. This work would have taken us 4,500 developer years, right? So we would have to spend 4,500 of our people for a whole year doing nothing else but this. And this is how we solved these problems in the past. And because we were able to upgrade these software, in this case, taking older versions of Java applications and upgrading them to the latest version, we saved in $260 million in infrastructure cost, right? Because the newest versions of this software is able to run with the same performance on fewer servers, because the performance ratio of the software is better, right? Faster software means you need less compute, means you're saving $260 million across all of Amazon. This is just Amazon, just this project, $260 million. Right? Just to show you what is the potential of AI. Why are we so excited about AI? Why is half of the room outside talking to you about AI? This is it, right? This is just software engineering, project upgrade, just inside Amazon, $260 million saved, right? This is not totally unlocking new use cases. This is not enabling thousands of things that weren't possible before. Automating software upgrades. Sounds boring? Saves us $260 million a year. Where do we think a lot of this is heading, right? What we've been investing a lot more time on, and I spent a lot more time also in the teams here in Berlin, is what we call agentic AI, right? So today, if you build AI frameworks, typically they'll look something like this, right? Like you have your machine learning model in the middle, and then you're enabling this machine learning model to leverage tools that have access to your data. It has some form of memory, right? And it can then generate a plan of what they want to do and act on it. This is how most of the existing tools started, and all of the more traditional AI tools are using some form of model like this, right? Nowadays, how the more cutting-edge versions of these AI systems are evolving is to adopt an agentic framework. And in this mode, the idea is that instead of having this more assistant model that I also showed you, like in the IDE, where it answers to your questions, you actually have these autonomous agents that are able to solve a particular task, and then they orchestrate within each other. So you have like the agent that's able to upgrade your software, you have the agent that finds security holes, you have the agent that is able to generate tests for you, and then you just tell them, I have this problem, go solve it for me, right? And then they talk to each other and automate this, where you're able to leverage them a lot this way and automate a lot more of those tasks, because you're combining agents and orchestrating them where they have these unique capabilities. Actually, last week we released an open source framework, in case you're interested, called the Strands Agents Framework, that is enabling you to do exactly like that. We've been successfully using it internally for a lot of these projects, and this is now open source. You can just go to GitHub and download it. We've been working with some of the big vendors like Anthropic on this too. And this is like one great example of innovation. Some of that also coming from here, where you're able to create these agentic frameworks, write these small programs that leverage different data sources, and are able to create these automations that ultimately result in these savings that we're looking at. Another example for innovation coming out of Berlin here is Party Rock. This is my favorite little project that was created here in Berlin by a small team, where when a lot of that Gen AI development started, they were thinking, how do we actually try out these things, right? I'm sure many here of you in the audience, right, like you read the news where like Anthropic released this new model, and OpenAI released that model, and Amazon Nova models can now do this. But how many actually try this out and play with this and see what's the difference with these models? How can I actually use this? So this is exactly the problem that this team tried to solve internally. So they built a small app that allows you to generate mini applications using these models and made it public internally, right? Like just for themselves to try it out. And very quickly, we had thousands of our employees use this every day to solve their problems, so that we decided maybe it will be useful to the outside world too, and we released it as a small website. So if you go to partyrock.aws, you just need an email. It's completely free, and then you can build your own mini productivity apps, right? Like you can tell it, hey, I need to build an app that generates me a haiku poem given a certain input and generates a nice image for it. And then you can pick the model, you can play with that, right? But within seconds, you have this application, and you can try it out, you can run it. I know people that have mini apps to like do an itinerary planner for the next vacation and share it with their friends, or the training plan generator for my kids' soccer club or whatever it is, right? So with these mini tools, you're able to quickly get an intuition for how GenAI works. It solves a small problem you might have, but you also very quickly develop this experience of what kind of problems can I solve with AI, and where is it maybe not as useful yet. So try it out if you're interested to actually use these different models very quickly. I can really recommend it. So maybe let me finish with just the thought that it has never been a better time to be a builder, right? Like I really, really like this sentence. A question I get a lot is the age of software developers over, right? Like, will all software developers be replaced by AI very soon? I doubt it. I actually think we will see many, many more software developers in the future, because the barrier to become a developer, the barrier to become a builder is a lot lower, right? My personal prediction will be in the future we'll have a lot more people build software, a lot more people create, because it's now a lot easier than ever. So with that, my only question would be, what magic will you build in the future? Thank you very much.
Jonathan Weiss, Amazon. Thank you very much. Everybody can be a builder. I will go to Party Rock and try it out. I want to be a builder. Another round of applause for Amazon.